G'day guys, how you doing? And welcome to another Astro adventure. What a beautiful night we have tonight. It is incredibly still, nice and clear. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to drive down to a big pink salt lake we have here in South Australia. I'm going to try and, I thought about trying to replicate one of my images I shot a couple of years ago, which won an award in the Epson International Panos. But whenever you go out to a location, conditions are always a bit different, and because I came out here a little bit later than what I'd liked, it already got pretty dark, so I couldn't exactly find where I went the last time. But it's always a bit boring shooting the same thing over and over again. So I've decided to walk a bit further down, and I've come across this nice, really long pathway which leads me back towards the Milky Way, and all that's in front of me is just still lake. So we're going to try and get some real nice reflection with the Milky Way above it, and I'm going to be using the SkyWatcher Star Adventurer 2i, so the Wi-Fi version for the its first tractor pano. So we'll see how that goes, but the first thing I'm going to do is set up my time lapse, because you guys know how much I love a time lapse. So let's get that set up, and then we'll walk all the way back down that way and get set up for the Nightscape. Okay, so right now I have my Vanguard Ultra Pro V2 carbon fiber tripod, which is going to be supporting my Syrup Genie Mini 2 pan and tilt head for my time lapse. And the first thing I'm going to do is just level out the tripod so it's nice and level. And the great thing about this mount here is it's got this little ball section that you can move around. So if your tripod legs aren't quite level enough and sturdy enough, you can use this little ball head section to just level off your tripod a little bit more. So that's one of the things I do like about this tripod. Now I've got two of these Vanguard Ultra Pro V2 tripods. One's an aluminium, and this one's a carbon fiber. And to be honest with you, I think I prefer the aluminium one more to the carbon fiber one. The carbon fiber one just seems a little bit too flimsy for some reason, so we'll just re-level that. So yeah, let's keep setting this up. Now I'm shooting this time lapse with my Nikon Z5 and 20mm 1.8s Z lens. Settings, we'll work that out in a minute, but usually I'm somewhere around about the 25-second mark for the exposure. It'll be f1.8, and we'll probably be looking at maybe around about an ISO of about 6400. So let's just review this time lapse. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. Yep, beautiful. Now, because I'm doing this all in camera, I've got to make sure that I'm moving slow enough that it's not going to interfere the time lapse a little bit, and I've done that plenty of times before in the past. I know I can take individual frames and then use a program like LRT time lapse, but I want to try and do all this in camera and not have to worry about doing all that editing of 600, 700, 800 frames. I'm sure maybe later on down the track I might do a little bit of that, but for now I'm just really happy with just doing what I can in camera, and that's what I enjoy doing. So my record time is going to be about 3.5 hours, and that gives it enough time to just slowly pan through without adding too much blur into the image. My interval, I'm going to bring that down to about 26 seconds. I'm going to go for about 25-second time lapse. So we've got that second in between shooting. So that's okay there. And now I think we're just about ready to start this. So I'll turn the camera on and we'll set up the first shot. So 25 seconds, ISO 6400. I'm just going to fire off this shot now and see how it looks. So we'll turn off the camera because that's going to interfere with the big time. Sorry, turn off the light, interfere with the big time, and we'll get it all set up. So, okay, so hopefully I'm not interrupting my time lapse too much with the amount of light shining upon me right now to try and show you guys a video at night, which is quite challenging. Right now I've got my 24mm 1.8 SZ lens on my Nikon Z50, but in a minute I'm going to have to take that lens off and put the old Z50 kit lens back on, so hopefully the picture quality doesn't get too bad. But here's my other Vanguard Ultra Pro V2 tripod. This one here is the aluminium version, and although I've widened the legs out just that little bit more, it's a lot more sturdier than I think than the carbon fiber version. Now the carbon fiber version is it's still a great tripod, but it's and it's a lot, and you do notice the weight difference a bit, but I think I do prefer this one here. And being at a salt lake, I'm going to have to make sure I give this one a good clean afterwards. But we've got the Milky Way just out to my left here, and it seems to be creating that beautiful arch that we all love, going from south to north. And I've got this little bit of landmass here that's actually come out a little bit, so hopefully when I swing around to my right and my left, we don't see too much land, and we've got more beautiful calm salt lake reflecting all those stars. So I'm pretty excited to see how this image ends up. I do have a lot of trucks and cars driving throughout the scene. It is a main highway here on the other side that keeps going up towards Port Augusta, so that does suck a little bit, but sometimes we just got to image in the conditions that we can shoot in, and there are other times where all the lights from the cars and everything else like that can really make an impact in the image too. So I'm going to get the SkyWatcher Star Adventurer 2 out and start setting that up. Okay, so we've just set up the SkyWatcher Star Adventurer V2, and I've got it roughly polar aligned to our south celestial pole. Now, with a nightscape like this, I'm not worrying too much about getting my polar alignment precise because we're shooting with the 24mm lens, so we can be a little bit out, and the stars can still be the stars will still be nice and pinpoint and round. So that's one of the advantages. If I was using a much longer focal length lens or a telescope, then that's when things might get a little bit more difficult polar aligning, especially here in the southern hemisphere. And for all those that polar align in the southern hemisphere, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, we don't have a bright star like Polaris in the north, so it can be a little bit more trickier for us, but we battle away and we get it done. So what I've got is two profiles set up on my app. One's going to be for the night sky, and the other one's just going to be for the foreground. And I've saved them under different profiles. So my foreground profile will have no tracking at all, and then my sky will have tracking, because obviously we want to be shooting two different sorts of images here. A nice untracked version for our foreground so it's not blurry, and then a tracked version for our sky. Now I'm going to go from left to right in a landscape format, so I won't be shooting in portrait mode, just landscape landscape format from left to right, and I'm going to go foreground to sky because I still want the Milky Way to come down a little bit lower. So I'm going to spend that time shooting my foreground, and then once that's done, I'm going to go back to the start and then shoot my my Milky Way. My settings are f2.8 because I want just a little bit more sharper of an image. We don't really have to worry too much about trying to grasp as much light as we can because it's a tracked Nightscape. Plus my foreground images are going to be 2-minute exposures at an ISO of 800. So I'm going to keep it very low on the ISO, and that will reduce the amount of noise, and we'll get even sharper and cleaner detail photograph once we're all done. Alright, so I'm going to get cracking with this. I'm going to turn the light off and I'll report back to you guys in a bit, but enjoy the time lapse. Well, I tell you what, tonight was a bit of a challenge. This is probably one of the hardest images I've had to shoot so far today with the Nightscape, and that's purely because of the amount of trucks that are travelling down that highway. It's starting to ease up a little bit now. It's about midnight, so really, if I want to come back to this location again, it would have to be maybe sometime next year, and when the Milky Way is in the right position, around about 3 o'clock in the morning. Probably be ideal, be a lot less traffic going by. But yeah, fingers crossed this image turns out great. The Wi-Fi on the SkyWatcher Star Adventurer is an absolute heaven. Being able to change those different profiles to go, okay, no tracking at all, 2-minute exposures for my foreground, then switch to tracking, 2-minute exposures for my sky. I absolutely love this device here. Well, that about sums it up. So guys, if you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Leave a comment, let me know what you think of the image, and also let me know if you guys shoot with a tracker yourself, or whether you prefer to shoot just a normal version of a Nightscape image, just a click and you're done. It is getting a bit late and I'm starting to get a little bit loopy there. Alright guys, well that sums it up. So until next time guys, take it easy. See yous.